Hey Vinita, welcome to Just Like That.
Hi, Sahil. Good to be here.
How are you doing?
Oh, all is well.
All is well. Reminds me of Three Idiots. All is well, all is well.
Yes, I think that's the best thing to say these days.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's pretty cold in that part of the world.
Yes, this is the coldest as well as the hottest city in Bihar. So we face
Wow.
extreme. Yeah,
Correct, correct, correct. So from extremes to the
yeah.
wonderful work that you're doing on mindfulness in Bodh Gaya. I am Bodh Gaya. Wow.
Wow. Yes, true. Exactly. This for sure invites a wow. Because who else can do work around this beautiful theme called mindfulness other than us? Because this is a legacy which we have inherited. So I think it was it was needed out of us, as I keep saying. This is something which we have to live up to.
True,
So
true.
that's how we are. Yeah, but it has been a beautiful journey. Like I think now my entire team has been thinking, breathing, sleeping, eating, mindfulness, and the various associated concepts with it. In fact, today itself we had a long training session with about 40 engineers from one of the regional engineering college, and I've got a very young team, and we all were talking and practicing along with them this beautiful concept.
Correct. But you know what really caught my attention was like we were talking just a short while ago. You haven't really got into the rat race of saying, I like a concept, let me model it and let me launch a batch, or let me open a program, or let me do an MDP. You've taken it slow. You're letting the whole concept sink in to the minds of students, faculty. You're playing with the idea and you're
Yes,
letting it germinate.
yes, exactly. You've chosen very right words to, describe this. Like, when we decided as a community that this is going to be our core value, this is what we're going to stand for. Because as you know, that of late we are 20 of us, all 20 IAMs, and we were very clear that we want to have very distinctive identity amongst all 20. So there was a whole lot of discussion as to what we should stand for. And as I said, the legacy and the history and the geography itself propelled us towards that. But we just didn't go that, okay, come on, this sounds cool, so let's adopt it. We allowed it to sink in, and we are still in the process of, as we keep saying, that preparing the ground. I have today a very young team, about three ladies who are specialists from best of the institutions across the country, who have been in the realm of positive psychology, resilience, mindfulness, and we've been continuously talking about it. As I say, living it almost on a daily basis.
Mm.
And I think what has really fast forwarded the whole journey has been this COVID phenomena. I
Right.
think uh, today the world is looking for it, is ready for it, and there could not have been any better moment for this thing to evolve.
Right. But you know, mindfulness can mean different things to different people.
Yeah, I
What does
know.
it really mean for you and your entire team at I Am Bodhgaya?
Actually, yes, you're very right. This word has very, very different connotations. Like you must have, in your growing years, you must have been hearing from your mother, oh, be mindful of the steps, or be mindful of what you say to others. So, though, yes, in different contexts, it can mean different. But to put it very simply, it is about being in the moment. That's it. That's the way it explains it, with absolutely no regrets of the past, no anxieties of the future, just to be. And I think this entire, if you ask me personally, about 3 to 4 years back when I was at Harvard, and that was the time I recognized the power of it, because we all consider that space to be mecca for management education. And what I could clearly see that all the conversations were moving from what we typically call it in management lingo to do towards to be. And
Interesting.
well, as an Indian, you always feel that knowledge and wisdom is all ours. It's just that they package it so beautifully, they make it ready with those frameworks and all that, and they bring it
Bestsellers.
back to
Yeah.
us. So I said,
Bestsellers.
no, 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 this will not happen, at least with this. Let's take a lead and let's try and make it, package is again not such an appropriate word, but at least let's make it understandable to a very logical, analytical mind who always has a why and a where kind of a
Correct.
question before imbibing or accepting any concept.
Right.
So we
You
very
actually
good.
spoke about being present in the moment.
Yes. Yes.
And while you were speaking about that, I somewhere just lost you or I got stuck when you said, Sahil, as you were growing up, your mother would have told you, be mindful of what you say, whatever. And you chose the word mother and not father. And that itself means so much. So tell me more about that. I know it wasn't conscious or whether it was subconscious, but mother comes out naturally when we talk about upbringing, when we talk about nurturing, when we talk about values, we talk about bacche ko bada karna. Very
Exactly.
rarely do we say father.
You rightly pointed out, we always keep saying that if like sanskar, what we call it. So those are imbibed in us primarily by the nurturer of the house, which is the mother. And
माँ
in a way,
माँ के संस्कार.
माँ के संस्कार. कोई hardly कोई कहता है पिता के संस्कार. So, and
But
the
is it?
best
But
part is
sorry, but isn't that stereotyping in a way? Sorry, just asking.
no, 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 no. I don't really subscribe to this view. It is just that the women, like I think finally researchers are proving it that well, why compare oranges and apples? Why we should we talk in terms of equality between an orange and apple? They're two different beings,
Correct.
and it's just that nature has made one person a nurturer, which requires far more capabilities and far more capacities uh, in context with everything, be it emotional intelligence, be it forbearance, be it fortitude, and everything which goes with it. So, uh, why compare?
No, I completely subscribe to that view because the one person who I love the most in this world is my mother. So I
Yeah, true.
completely subscribe. And I'm sure that is for many of us. It's not just me. I'm sure for many of us, we love our mothers more than anybody else in the world.
True, true. And uh, I keep telling the young ladies in my team that wear this label of being a nurturer with a lot of pride, with a lot of conviction, because it's only we who are capable of that.
True.
Mm, we should take pride in it.
No, absolutely. So we really spoke about the why of mindfulness. You want to tell us a little bit about the how? What's the
See,
procedure? How does one do it? How does one get to the bottom of it? How does it
actually,
manifest itself in the way we live? Because you spoke about you're living it. So how do you
mhm.
really live being mindful?
Again I would repeat what I said earlier, to be in the moment, to be completely aware of it. And that's the reason it's also all about awareness. Like when if I go back to my same example, when your mother said that be mindful of the stairs, so what she meant by is that when you are on the stairs, be mindful of them, because that is what it is in that moment. So if you circumvent them nicely, there is the results going to be much better. And which is
Right.
what we have to continuously keep telling in today's time when mind works like a monkey. every moment, I think. And being with the youngsters, I can feel it even more, because when we were growing up, we never grew up with so many distractions. I really pity the youngsters these days. They are at any given moment, point of time, bombarded with zillions of things. And for
Right.
them to be at one place in that moment is something which they're losing out. And that perhaps explains why they are facing what they're facing. So, to bring this tradition of being in the moment, being with that moment, completely and completely aware of what is in that moment, is, is something which we need to revive. And that perhaps is going to be the answers to most of the problems which youngsters are facing, be it lack of concentration, be it this whole philosophy of that. Now they're all recognizing that multitasking is perhaps not the best way to do things. But again, I would say that youngsters need evidence. What It's not that these things were not available, or were not, they were not aware of it. It's just that they need evidence, they need proof before they believe and subscribe to anything. So
Very true.
that's the reason we as a school, because as you know, IIMS is all about high analytical skills, high logical, high intelligence per se. So to convince them, we didn't want to go the conventional way. We waited, we made ourselves and our team very, very ready. And even going forward, we have great designs. We today in the day itself, we were talking of creating, experimental groups and control groups, and then we will allow that particular group to carry out these practices and not with the control group. And then we'll see the results, and then we'll demonstrate it to them that this is how it works. And all of it has to be experiential. They have to experience it themselves to be able to have conviction in it.
So
So
what you're really saying is proof of concept
yes,
being made available so that the generation of today can figure out what's in it for them before they
exactly.
really subscribe. And once they do and see the value add and the merit in it, then automatically it becomes a rage.
Especially, and we're very hopeful because this year onwards we are launching what we call it as IPM. That is a 5 years integrated MBA program after K-12 class 12. So we would have a longer duration with those youngsters, because in a typical
Right.
MBA program, the youngster is very, very like too much of academic load plus placements plus other things. So for them to have undergone this experiential learning would have been a little more challenging. So with this little younger lot, we would be able to do it in a far more meaningful way and be able to, help them, because like any other muscle, this needs practice as well. It's
Absolutely.
only when they practice it they would know what it means. And perhaps in our ancient ways, our gurukuls were doing it
Right.
for the youngsters. So we aspire to be there.
Wonderful, wonderful. In fact, I was just thinking that while you mentioned about doing it for the 2 year batch and now also taking it to the 5 year batch because it gives you more years to really build this as a
Mhm.
skill, um, how will this really play out for people in corporate India? Because for them, I know you have a lot of MDPs and you have a lot of friends in the corporate world. But if you were to take a mindfulness course or a program or a sensitization workshop to India Inc. and the CXO level people, or even youngsters who have passed out from college and come into the corporate world and are putting in 12, 14 hours a day, they're expected to burn the midnight oil. How do you increase levels of concentration, efficacy, being in the moment so that retention happens? Today, many times people work on something they forget the next moment, right? Or you study semester one, you get to semester two, you've forgotten what you studied in semester one. It's all about
Mhm.
clearing the exam. So, how do you make this a very innate skill?
See, first is being a multifunctional and multi-domain kind of courses that we have. This conversation is going across verticals. So, as I mentioned it to you, we have it's a major part of our vision and mission statement today. Mindfulness is a big value that we wish to inculcate in every stakeholder. So when we talk of marketing, we talk of mindful marketing. When we talk of supply chain, you talk of mindful supply chain. So on a very practitioner base, we're going to teach them this. Like, like take the case of marketing. We make the consumer product, so we make that consumption happen. But are we making those marketers aware of the fact that there is something called post purchase, which is could be disposal, and then the mindful disposal, and then being aware of the the choices which we are kind of nudging the consumers to make into, and what impact it will have on the environment. So you may take a pack of lays and then consume it, and then it ends up in the stomach of a whale. So, you know, so
Yeah,
mindfulness
yeah.
is something which at every discipline, at every functional level, we'll have to inculcate, and which is where first as a person, and then it will percolate into everything that they do. So they'll do everything with much more awareness. And yes, what you mentioned about, and you are an HR practitioner yourself, like suppose if I ask you what is that one quality you would love to have in future managers, I'm so sure it would list as one of the top two.
Absolutely. Vinita, thank you so much for joining us on Just Like That on this beautiful conversation on mindfulness.
Thank you so much, Sahil.